owls. The Beat of the Bronx, a Yankee podcast with Russ Lichty. Today's episode is brought to you by Your Bronx Dentist. Come meet Dr. Rebbe and his team at two convenient locations in the Norwood and Throgs Neck sections of the Bronx. Schedule your next appointment at yourbronxdentist.com. And now, here's Russ.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Episode 28 of The Beat of the Bronx, a Yankee podcast. Yankees beat the Cleveland Guardians last night 3-2. Carlos Rodon continued his dominance of late. Just really been twirling and dominating. One of the best pitchers in the American League, in Major League Baseball, dating since the beginning, mid to beginning of April. But Los has definitely been on the loose. Yankees take the game after the off day, after losing the series to the Dodgers this past weekend. They did salvage it on Sunday. They talked about how Booney and Wells after the game spoke about how it was nice for them to salvage the series, get the win. They talk about how they don't listen to the outside noise, but kind of sounded like it. It was after Friday and Saturday's debacle. It was definitely nice to get to Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and let's get into it here because there's a lot of injury news and notes. But the Yankees are top of the American League East, 6.5 games in front of the Tampa Bay Rays, who are actually, they're tied right in second right now with Toronto. Both clubs 6.5 games out of first in the East. But the Yankees looking to continue, to keep this somewhat comfortable lead going now. And anything more than like 4 to 5 games, 5 games. So try to keep it at that. But it's going to fluctuate throughout the summer here as we're June 4th. Getting close to entering those dog days of summer. But let's get into the injury news and notes. Like we said, there is a few of them, with some good news here. As we saw last night, Jazz Chisholm Jr. was reinstated from the injured list with his oblique injury and playing the hot corner third base now, just like last year. And he had a real nice slick backhanded play that Goldie, the first baseman's never get enough credit on those scoops, but Goldie really saved it. It was a nice backhanded scoop from Goldie too, but a real nice backhand play from Jazz, showing why Booney believes he can play third. Now I'm one of those. I'm a little skeptical of Jazz playing third, but he can definitely he can do it. But those little gripes that we seen last year, sometimes that you don't see on TV, like we talked about how wasn't in the right spot for cutoffs, and sometimes now and then, and we'll find out. The real test will be Jazz playing third. Not tonight, tomorrow. I think when Max Fried's on the mound with all those ground balls that Fried generates to third base. So that'll be the real test tomorrow night. But Jazz, as we went off on a tangent here, but back to the injury news. Jazz was reinstated. He had a homer last night. Now he has the most home runs as a second baseman, 8. But Jazz back playing the hot corner. Fernando Cruz was reinstated from the injured list as well. They recalled right-hand pitcher Yerry De Los Santos. Luke Weaver went down with a hamstring injury, retroactive to the first. We saw him on Saturday in the debacle, and questionable decision of why he was in there. And as of late, we know Weaver hasn't been pitching. He hasn't been himself as of late. The majority as of late, and the struggles going into the West Coast trip here, and on X. On my story, you might have seen me talking about how I thought Devin Williams was going to reclaim the closer role. Not in this, not in this type of scenario, but I just thought that it was going to be an opportunity for Devin because Weaver was kind of shaky. um, coming into, before getting hurt. But then the questionable usage on Saturday. I mean, I know Pablo Reyes was used, but I don't know why Weaver was in the game. And then they say on Sunday he was up, he felt something abnormal in his hamstring, getting ready to stretch. And then next day, following the off day, we find out about yesterday morning that Luke Weaver goes on the injured list and enter Devin Williams back to the closer role. Um, so Luke Weaver, he said there was some comments before the game. He wanted to just he thought he would just have the minimum 15-day IL stay, but Aaron Boone's response was, "We'll see." So the timeline right now, I would say, TBD. Just from what we've been hearing. I mean, we'll find out. Could be, is he going to be back in 15 days like he wants to be? Is it going to be 4 to 6 weeks like the injury calls for? We'll find out. But Devin Williams, he was, shaky last night, but not really much hard contact. But shaky last night. He's been, really, really, really good coming into, it was, I think, 13 out of his last 15 appearances, scoreless appearances. So Devin, he has been better, but it's just something with that ninth inning. But Luke Weaver, on the IL, so get well soon, Dream Weaver, because they never have enough bullpen. I mean, I know the guys have been picking it up lately, especially Mark Leiter Jr. and with Fernando Cruz coming back and Yerry De Los Santos. Yerry's numbers. He's been pretty decent when he's been up here. I mean, in the usage, sometimes multi-inning usage, Yerry's been pretty good. So not Luke Weaver good, but pretty good. And Jorbit Vivas was also optioned down to AAA. He had options. We saw spurts from Jorbit, but let's be real. Kind of similar style type of player as Jazz Chisholm. Both throw righty. They play the same positions basically. They both bat lefty, and power speed combo, but we weren't really seeing much, from Vivas with the bat. And even before Jazz got hurt, we weren't seeing much from Jazz either. So, I want to say, let's be real. But last night, he changed the tune real quick, came back with a bang, and Carlos Cookie Carrasco was designated for assignment after he was called up to be he was called up on Sunday to be the extra arm, and then he was designated for assignment. So additionally, we have been talking about JT Brubaker recently, and JT is currently on his rehab assignment here, and he was transferred from Double-A Somerset to Triple-A Scranton Wilkes-Barre. That probably had to do one with the rehab assignment and a lot of minor league promotions, which we'll get into after this. But JT Brubaker, his rehab now, we're coming up to the deadline. It's in about 10 days or so. Around June 15th, 16th is when the Yankees have to make the decision on whether they're going to call him up to the big league club. Now, JT Brubaker has no options, so it's not like they can activate him and send him back down to the minors, because then they could lose him. And to be honest, you've heard the name JT Brubaker, sporadically, from me. There's that Jack Curry podcast from last season, from early last season, with Hal Steinbrenner. I remember listening to, and Hal was talking about how JT Brubaker was down rehabbing in Tampa, and how they think really highly of him now. For everyone not familiar with JT Brubaker, he's a similar type of pitcher, in my opinion. I think he's a similar type of pitcher to Luke Weaver before Luke Weaver bloomed into this, closer that he's become. Luke Weaver was a starting pitcher when the Yankees got him. High draft pick from Florida State, highly regarded, pitching prospect, starting pitcher prospect, and like most relievers and pretty damn good relievers, are failed starting pitchers. which Luke Weaver kind of was a failed starting pitcher, and now I mean he's taken on a completely different type of animal, what he's become, but now with him going down. But JT Brubaker, similar. I think the Yankees view JT Brubaker as a similar type of pitcher, as a starting pitcher. A lot of similarities, and then the pitch mix, a lot of similarities to the way Luke Weaver pitched, and when the Yankees first acquired him. So could Brubaker be called up here? Could he be used as a long man? Will he be used out of the pen? Will they sprinkle him in? I mean, there's not much room in the starting rotation right now today with the way Ryan Yarbrough is pitching. But we always know things work there. These things work themselves out. But I'm very interested because we've been if you follow Yankees, Yankees really, deep into the news of guys, rehabbing. And I always heard, here and there, you heard about JT Brubaker. You always hear the name, and we haven't seen him for a while. And I think we are going to see him in some capacity. The Yankees, they put a lot of time into this rehab, into the rehab of JT Brubaker. It's been a while. And, let's see now. I mean, in about 10 days or so, in about a week or so, we'll find out. And Jake Cousins, he's working his way back. His rehab assignment commenced with High A Hudson Valley yesterday. So Jake Cousins, one of the big pieces of the bullpen last year, he's gonna be working his way back now. So hopefully next episode here we don't have as much injury news and notes. We don't really like to talk about the injuries, but they are there. And let's get into the minor league promotions now. A few notable names here who we've seen in spring training. Cam Schlittler, the tall right-handed pitcher, he got called up to Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Now we AAA Scranton, we saw him a lot in spring training, and just one of those names, another one of those names. Keep an eye out for the summer. I think we might be seeing some of Cam Schlittler when those dog days start coming in about maybe 3 weeks or so. But around there, July, at some point, July, August, those dog days of summer, Cam Schlittler is a name to watch out for. So keep an eye on that. Rock Riggio, the Oklahoma State product. Rock Riggio called up from Hudson Valley to Double-A Somerset, and a lot of pop from Rock Riggio. Some of you might know him from that college highlight. He was running around the bases like he was Jack Sparrow. But Rock Riggio got a lot of pop, and the Yankees, we'll see. The left-handed hitting second baseman called up to Somerset. We also saw in spring training the outfielder Brendan Jones, that some said kind of remind you of a Brett Gardner type player, and Brendan Jones called up to Double-A Somerset from Hudson Valley, and he was real impressive in spring training. Yeah, spring training, but he was impressive in spring training. And I believe he had a walk-off in one of those games too, if I'm not mistaken. The hard throwing right-hander, the youngster Carlos LaGrange. Now we talk about missing some, that gas, that cheese in the bullpen. Carlos LaGrange throws heat. He's one of those kids. Goes up from Hudson Valley to Somerset. So a lot of movement from the Yankees. And also former Cubs top consensus 100 pick, Brennan Davis. Yankees acquired him in the offseason. We saw some of him in spring training too. Hits the ball really hard. Has been good of late. And like the last, I think they were saying how he had 2 homers in his last 8 games. Something like that. Just he hits the ball really hard. Former top 100 prospect for the Cubs. He goes from Somerset to Scranton Wilkes-Barre, and that's right-handed outfielder Brennan Davis. And so Yanks and Spencer Jones also homered, down on the farm after coming back. He's come back from injury recently, and Spencer Jones did homer. So how's it going? With the Yankees here. So we briefly mentioned over the weekend the World Series matchup Friday night, that sixth inning, Shohei hit the led off the inning with a homer off Fried. He had two homers off Fried that night, and just it was Max Fried's worst start so far as a Yankee. After the 11 stellar outings of two-run ball or less in each and all those starts, but it was just so happened, unfortunately, came against a team like the Dodgers, and the Yankees lost the Friday night game after that sixth inning. And Saturday, just Will Warren was just bombed, and it was just real interesting to me. Not even just to get into exactly what happened and how the Yankees lost. Just want to be kind of we'll kind of just talk about it. So on Friday, Max Fried versus Tony Gonsolin. So I look at it like this. If we see the Dodgers again, it's going to be, most likely be in the World Series. So when you look at the pitching matchups, not really concerned about Max Fried after Friday night. It was his first clunker, kind of, pretty much as a Yankee. So, looking at, Max Fried, you would think Max Fried is being your game one starter in the World Series, right? So Tony Gonsolin, maybe, he came back from injury, but I don't know if Tony Gonsolin would be pitching, if everyone is healthy for the Dodgers. I don't know if he'd be pitching. I know last year not everyone was healthy, but let's say everyone's healthy. I don't know if he'd be in the World Series, top four. You might see him out of the bullpen, but just like Landon Knack, he pitched a great game Saturday going up against Will Warren, and we talked about two young pitchers. On my videos on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. We talked about how two youngsters with high numbers on their back who got really nasty stuff, and the Dodgers wore those hideous City Connect uniforms. They look like funfetti. They look with the sparkles in there, but I don't know why you change a uniform like that, like the Dodgers. Yankees and Dodgers are two iconic uniforms, but whatever. With Landon Knack, I don't think he'd be with everyone being healthy. He's another one. Maybe you see him out of the bullpen. I don't think you would see him as one of the top four pitchers you would see in the World Series. No offense to Landon Knack, after he pitched a great game, but let's just be real here. And now Yoshinobu Yamamoto Sunday, and the Yankees bashed him around the park, and that's one of the best pitchers in the National League, and he'd probably be going up against Max Fried in game one. So that's like John Sterling used to say, that's baseball Susan. But that's just how it goes. The only thing you predict is that it's unpredictable. But just that's the one of those takeaways I took from that series. Now the Yankees went into Dodger Stadium after winning 7 straight series. They Yankees swept a Los Angeles Angels team. They recently swept the Dodgers. What does it mean? I don't know. And then what does it mean? But Shohei and Judge definitely showed up this weekend. If you want to, definitely both showed up. Judge, winning American League Player of the Month again. I mean, who else are they can pick? He's on another level. And just like Mariano Rivera, they used to say, he needs to be called up to another league. Judge is doing this. What Judge is doing right now, and he's cooling off. How dare he, get under 400 after this West Coast swing? But it's been crazy how Judge has been, and just wanted. I'm not to fast forward through the season, but I'm really curious to see what his numbers look like at the end of this year, because what he's doing now, I can't even, it's unexplainable. It's you haven't seen it in a while, and the numbers and the names that he's being compared to are just all time great. So we're witnessing history here, and I'm not one to always like clamor over players, but what he's doing is really impressive. And forget the bugaboo. I mean, even for me to say it, forget the bugaboo of the playoffs, but there's just this year just feels like something different, and Judgy has always been a competitor. Um, we know this, but there's just something I see when you look at him this year. You just see something. There's something in his eyes, and maybe it has something to do with becoming a girl dad now. I definitely know a few things about that, and it changes you a little bit sometimes. Just you become your mindset thing change a little different. So maybe that has something to do with it. But it's like the Judgy revenge tour after that World Series, and we're all for it. But he's really been on another level, and just let's hope we can just keep it going here. But also, I saw an interesting. I don't want to forget about it. An interesting stat from Katie Shaw, because we talked about how the Yankees are in one-run ball games now. Through May 5th, the Yankees were 3-8 in one-run ball games. Now, since May 6th, they are 8-3, which I made a video about it. Last week, talked about it. I believe it was the off day, but we talked about it. And so now 11-11 in one-run games. So the Yankees were early struggling, in one-run games, and now, since May 6th, 8-3, with they're now 11-11 in one-run ball games. Very, very interesting to me. And that's not even there's a few two-run ball games too, but with one-run ball games, with the way the Yankees bullpen, all in all, like we've been talking about, it's been so good. And I kind of got upset with myself because we were talking about how the Yankees pitching going into the Dodgers series. They won 7 straight series in the bullpen. Everyone's been so good, and kind of took a turn a little bit there. But it's the Dodgers, like two top teams here now. The Mets just took the series from them, taking their first 2 games. And talk about interesting stats. The Francisco Lindor stat, mind blowing. Now, just we don't usually talk about other teams here, but this is a crazy stat that hasn't been done since Carl Furillo. But he passed Carl Furillo. But Francisco Lindor, not counting the postseason, because it would make it 29, but 27 consecutive games where Francisco Lindor has homered, the Mets have won, and it would be 29 if you count the playoffs. Just my buddy Al told me that it'd be 29. He said, but those don't count because it's the playoff. But hey, that's impressive. The from the unofficial captain of the Metropolitans over there. So now I know we usually don't talk about the Mets here, but when something like that baseball happens, hey, sometimes you just got to tip your cap. This, let's be honest, it's all we do it all for the love of the game, and that's just it's something else, really. Something that's a crazy stat, and we know if you follow baseball, the type of player Francisco Lindor is. But Yankees getting much better in one-run games, and that makes us feel a little good because there's nothing better to me than a pitcher's duel. Like I was thinking about how I recorded last week's episode. It was the 1-0 win with the sac fly from the RBI from Volpe in the first inning after Judge was intentionally walked twice that game after the sweep of the Angels. That was the 3rd game of the series against the Angels there. But it was very interesting how, Clark was a 1-0 win, Clark versus Kikuchi. And it was a great, nice pitcher's duel. Those are my favorite type games. So, knowing that the Yankees are getting better and winning one-run games makes me feel good. So, and what do we got coming up next here? So the Yankees won, 3-2 last night, beating the Cleveland Guardians with the back-to-back and belly-to-belly from Jazz and Volpe. Volpe has been his bat's really coming alive now. As of late now, we're getting inching close to the coming towards the trade deadline here. So I'm just really really curious. What we got? We're not inching close. We have about 2 months to go, but I'm fast forward and I can't wait. It's more, other than around winter meetings time, the season's great. We love the season, but for me, um, around the winter meetings, free agency, and the trade deadline, two of my favorite things, other than the actual games themselves. But trade deadline, I love an active trade deadline, not just for the Yankees, all throughout the league. I just, it's one of my favorite. It's the best. The MLB trade deadline, and now that it's back to July 31st, like it used to be, I hope it's a frenzy this year. I know the Blue Jays. We talked about the Blue Jays here. They're 6-4. They lost last night, but very interested after reading Jeff Passan's early preview, and he was talking about Bo Bichette as being one of the number one shortstops on the move, and then last night Michael K's comments with Boone saying how a middle infielder, and you guys all heard about and I'm not lying. We recently watched Wayne's World 2. It was on one of during around it was I think it was on the off night. It might have been one of the off nights, and I remember the scene where he's meets Jim Morrison with the Native American walking through the desert, and I had one of those daydreams when it was with Camille. She was napping, and it was Gene Stick Michael saying that the Yankees were going to trade for Bo Bichette. And I was like, whoa, I mean, what? Maybe I need to get some more sleep, drink some more water. I don't know, but it was actually kind of funny. And, I just wanted to share with you guys because I just have this inkling that I don't know if the Yankees are going to get him. I think he's going to be on the move with him being a free agent. I would love for the Yankees. I'm a fan of Bo Bichette. We follow guys, on other teams, but hey, you never know. You really, really never know. But just makes little humor to it. And I figured, my wife tells me, you always tell me all these funny stories. I got to start sharing some more with you guys here. So why not? Why not? If you're interested, in hearing about the Gene Michael, the Gene Michael dream, let me know. But and it's just funny because he was a wonderful man. I met him. I'm not saying I met him a few times. Luckily, met him a few times when we had a really really cool job with the Yankees back in our college days in the old stadium. It was one that 2008 season. Oof. Memories. What athletes and people that I was able to come in contact with and meet, and just Mr. Gene Stick Michael was definitely one of a kind. Definitely one of a kind. And just the few conversations that me and him had have always stuck with me, and certain things I'll keep private, but just funny that someone that I really don't know, but know of and know about. But I'm a very big fan, I should say, of the I'm not a big book reader. For those of you guys that know me, not a big book guy at all. Recently I've discovered the wonderfulness of audiobooks, and really if you haven't, get to it. Andy Martino, The Yankee Way. If you're a Yankee fan, it's a must. And I've gone through it now 4 times, and it's wonderful. And that's probably that's also something I did recently. So that probably all. After you're reading the book and maybe it comes together of why I would have some kind of weird. Weird dream like that, but daydream like that. But hey, you never know. Stranger things have happened, but just maybe it's just the nice weather here. It's starting to feel like summer, but this was last week, and it wasn't nice last week. It was like we were having revert back to fall, but now certainly feels like summer. It's going to be a beautiful night. Seems like it's going to be a beautiful night at the ballpark if you're going. Clark Schmidt versus Luis Ortiz. Now the Yankees lost the series in Cleveland. So Cleveland took 2 out of 3. So it would be nice if the Yankees could take at least 2 out of 3 against Cleveland. So we'll see what happens tonight. We have Luis Ortiz versus Clark Schmidt, and tomorrow is Max Fried versus Slade Ciccone, the young right-hander. So Max will be looking to bounce back from his rough start in versus the Dodgers. So hopefully we'll be talking about going for a sweep. But tonight the ball game back to usual programming Wednesday on Amazon Prime, and then tomorrow the game will be Yes Network. But then Boston comes in for the weekend. We haven't seen the Red Sox yet, and they've been struggling a little bit. It'll be the Alex Bregman-less Boston Red Sox, and then over the weekend going to KC before the Red Sox again. The next weekend after that, but going to KC, so we'll get to see Jack Caglione, and just real quick, he made it up to the big leagues in less than a year. Because we're not up to draft time yet, and the draft is usually around mid-July, and Jack Caglione, the power that kid got. Getting called up, so we'll get to see him in Kansas City, and let's just see what happens here. The Yankees taking on Yankees Guardians tonight. Enjoy your Wednesdays, guys. It's a beautiful day here in the Bronx, in the city, tri-state area. Weather's really coming around, but make sure you enjoy it. Have a good one. God bless, and as always, go Yankees.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Beat of the Bronx, a Yankee podcast. You can follow Russ on all social media platforms using the handle @NYYankeeDad. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.